Kieran was full of life, with a vibrant personality, a loving, caring mother with a very thoughtful daughter, sister, and aunt. Her perpetual smile will be missed every day of our lives by everyone who knew her. Kieran had lots of dreams and aspirations, which were untimely taken away by this demonic act.
Imagine security cameras capturing a man dragging a suitcase through dark, empty streets at 3 in the morning. He's nervous, looking over his shoulder, moving fast. But here's what makes your blood run cold. Inside that suitcase is the body of a woman who only wanted one thing: freedom. Her name was Kieran Dadia. She was 46 years old, a mother, a daughter, a friend, and just hours before she was murdered, she was planning the rest of her life. A life without fear, a life without him. But he couldn't let that happen. This is Kieran's story, and it's a warning we all need to hear. Before we begin, if you believe everyone deserves to live without fear, hit that like button right now. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We want to hear from you. Kieran's life, the woman behind the tragedy. Kieran wasn't just a headline. She wasn't just another statistic. She was real. She was alive. And she was loved. Her colleagues at the next call center in Leicester would tell you she lit up every room she walked into. Always dressed beautifully. Always smiling. The kind of person who remembered your birthday and asked about your kids. She had this way of making you feel seen, like you mattered. But Kieran's life hadn't been easy. At just 18 years old, she entered an arranged marriage. That's barely an adult, still figuring out who you are. And suddenly, she's married and moving to England with a man she barely knew. A man named Ashvin Dadia. For 26 years, Kieran played the role she was supposed to play. The dutiful wife. The perfect mother. She raised 2 sons and taught them something powerful. She taught them to respect women, to see women as equals, to never use their strength to control or intimidate. She gave them the tools to be better men than their father. Because while Kieran smiled at work and showed up for her family, something darker was happening at home. She was living in a cage, and the man holding the key refused to let her out. But Kieran was done asking for permission. In 2014, after more than 2 decades of marriage, she made a decision that would take incredible courage. She filed for divorce. She said enough. She chose herself, and that decision signed her death warrant. The marriage, control behind closed doors. Here's what most people don't understand about leaving an abusive relationship. The hardest part isn't making the decision. It's surviving what comes after. When Kieran filed for divorce in 2014, she didn't just walk away. She couldn't. They still lived in the same house. Same walls. Same hallways. Imagine sleeping under the same roof as someone who hates you for wanting freedom. Someone who sees your independence as a personal insult. Ashvin Dadia believed in the old ways. Traditional gender roles. The man is the head of the household. The woman obeys. And when Kieran challenged that, when she said, "I'm not your property," it shattered his entire identity. For 3 years, they lived in this terrible arrangement. Divorced on paper, trapped together in reality. Every conversation was loaded. Every interaction was a potential explosion. Kieran walked on eggshells in her own home. But she held on, because she knew the house was being sold. She knew that once it's sold, she'd finally be free. Truly free. And Kieran didn't just dream about freedom. She planned for it. She joined a dating agency. Can you imagine? After 26 years in a marriage that drained her, she still believed in love. She still believed she deserved happiness. She still believed there was someone out there who would treat her with kindness and respect. That hope, that beautiful, brave hope, is what made Ashvin's blood boil. He watched her move on. He watched her smile again. He watched her plan a future that didn't include him, and his pride couldn't take it. Every day was a countdown. Every interaction a potential spark. And Ashvin's rage was growing, building, waiting for the moment it would explode. By January 2017, that countdown was almost over. The house was sold. Kieran had joined a dating agency. Freedom was just days away. She could taste it. January 16th, 2017, the day everything shattered. January 16th, 2017 started like any other Monday. Kieran probably woke up thinking about work, about her sons, about the future she was so close to finally living. She had no idea it would be her last day alive. Ashvin confronted her in their home. We don't know exactly what triggered it. Maybe she mentioned her plans. Maybe she smiled at a text message. Maybe he just couldn't stand seeing her happy anymore. But something inside him snapped. Or maybe it didn't snap at all. Maybe he'd been planning this. What happened next was brutal. Ashvin grabbed Kiran's own scarf and wrapped it around her neck. He strangled her, his hands on the fabric, her struggling, fighting, trying to breathe, trying to live. And he didn't stop until she went silent. But he wasn't done. This is where it gets even darker. Ashvin bound her wrists and ankles with cable ties, the kind you buy at a hardware store, the kind you plan ahead to have. Then he forced her body into a suitcase. Imagine that. A human being, a mother, a woman with dreams, stuffed in a luggage like she was trash. And then he waited. He waited until 3 in the morning when the streets would be empty, when no one would see. And he dragged that suitcase out of the house, through the streets of Leicester, looking for a place to dump her. But here's what Ashvin didn't know. Security cameras don't sleep. CCTV footage captured everything. Him dragging the suitcase, him looking around nervously, him disposing of Kiran's belongings in different locations. He thought he was being smart. He thought he'd get away with it. If this story is breaking your heart like it's breaking mine, please share this video. Kiran's story needs to be heard. And subscribe so you never miss stories that matter. These stories save lives. He treated her like she was nothing. Like 26 years of marriage, 2 sons, a lifetime of memories meant nothing. Because to him, she wasn't person. She was property. And when that property tried to leave, he destroyed it. But Ashvin didn't know that his every move was being captured. The truth was coming. The investigation and discovery. When Kiran's body was discovered, the community was devastated. Leicester is the kind of place where people know each other, where news travels fast, and when word spread about what happened to Kiran, the shock was overwhelming. But for her 2 sons, it wasn't shock. It was confirmation. They feared this. Deep down, they knew their father was capable of violence. They'd seen the control, the intimidation, the way he treated their mother. And now, their worst nightmare had come true. The police moved quickly. They pulled CCTV footage from all over Leicester. And what they found painted a clear picture. There was Ashvin at 3 a.m. dragging a suitcase. There he was disposing of items in different bins across the city. There he was trying to cover his tracks. Forensic teams found the cable ties. They found evidence of the struggle. They found proof that this wasn't a crime of passion. This was calculated. This was planned. Hour by hour, the police pieced together Ashvin's movements. Every decision he made, every place he went, and the evidence was damning. There was no way out, no excuse good enough, no story believable enough. The cold reality set in. Ashvin Dadia thought he could murder his ex-wife and walk away. He thought he was smarter than the police. He thought he'd covered his tracks. He was wrong. The trial, truth versus lies. In 2018, Ashvin Dadia stood trial for murder, and his defense tried to paint him as a man who simply lost control. They wanted the jury to see him as someone who snapped in a moment of anger. A tragique accident, a crime of passion, but the prosecutors weren't buying it, and neither was the jury, because the evidence told a different story. Ashvin had cable ties. That means he either had them already or he went out and bought them. Either way, that's planning. That's not losing control. That's deciding to bind another human being. The CCTV footage showed methodical disposal. He didn't just panic and run. He took his time. He tried to hide evidence. He made multiple stops. That's not a man who lost control. That's a man covering up a crime. The jury heard about Kiran's life, her dreams, her courage to leave. They heard from her sons, who had to relive their mother's murder in that courtroom. They heard about the years of control and intimidation, the psychological torture of living with a man who saw her independence as betrayal. And it took the jury less than 3 hours to reach a verdict. 3 hours. That's how clear the evidence was. That's how obvious his guilt was. Guilty of murder. Judge Timothy Spencer QC didn't hold back. He looked at Ashvin Dadia and called him exactly what he was. Arrogant, bent on control. A man who couldn't accept that his ex-wife had the right to live her own life. Life sentence. Minimum 18 years before even being considered for parole. 18 years in prison for taking someone's entire future.
Kieran's family have released the following statement. Kieran was full of life, with a vibrant personality, a loving, caring mother with a very thoughtful daughter, sister and aunt. Her friendly and charismatic nature meant she had many friends. She was simply beautiful and loved having photographs taken. She was the backbone of the family, very kind, generous and angelic. We as a family cannot even begin to describe the loss and emptiness in our heart. Her perpetual smile will be missed every day of our lives by everyone who knew her. Kieran had lots of dreams and aspirations which were untimely taken away by this demonic act. Life without her will never be the same. We cannot thank enough for the support given to us throughout this difficult time, and we would like to especially thank East Midlands Special Operations Major Crime Unit, including Senior Investigating Officer D.I. Simon Shuttleworth, Officer in the case DS Mark Wesley, and DC Jenny Tattersall, our Family Liaison Officer, Leicestershire Police and the Crown Prosecution Service. They have all worked tirelessly to bring this evil person to justice. He showed no remorse in coming forward and taking responsibility for his barbaric actions. We would also like to thank Victim Support, Next Directory and our own employees, Queen Elizabeth College, Sri Hindu Temple, Asian Funeral Service, our family, friends, neighbours and the public for their continuous support throughout this ordeal. We would also like to thank all of those who provided CCTV to the inquiry. Although today there has been justice for Kieran, this does not take away our heartache. Her energy will resonate with us forever. We will be living this sentence for the rest of our lives.
Kieran's eldest son stood up and read a statement that still echoes today. We have lost a beautiful mother, daughter, sister, and auntie in the most brutal and horrifying manner. Beautiful. That's the word he used, because that's what she was. And Ashvin took that beauty out of the world because his ego couldn't handle rejection. The courtroom delivered justice. But justice doesn't bring her back. Justice doesn't give her sons their mother back. Justice doesn't let Kieran live the free life she fought so hard for. The bigger picture, why this matters. Kieran's story isn't unique, and that's what makes it so terrifying. Studies show that leaving an abusive relationship is the most dangerous time for victims. When an abuser realizes they're losing control, violence escalates, sometimes fatally. The moment someone says, "I'm done," the risk of murder spikes. This isn't about culture. This isn't about tradition. This is about power and control. Ashvin Dadia believed he owned Kieran. He believed her life was his to control. And when she proved him wrong, when she chose herself, he couldn't accept it. Patriarchal entitlement is deadly. The belief that men have a right to control women. The belief that a woman leaving is the ultimate disrespect. The belief that if I can't have you, no one can. These beliefs kill. We need to recognize the warning signs. Control and behavior. Isolation. Intimidation. Threats when someone tries to leave. These aren't just red flags. They're predictions of violence. And we need to support people who are trying to escape. Because leaving takes everything. It takes courage. It takes planning. It takes resources. And it takes a community that believes you and protects you. Kieran did everything right. She filed for divorce legally. She tried to maintain peace. She planned for her future. And she was still murdered. Because the system failed her. Because no one could protect her from the person she once trusted most. Kieran's legacy. Kieran deserved to live free. She deserved to find love again. She deserved to see her sons grow into the good men she raised them to be. She deserved to wake up every morning without fear. She deserved to just be. She was vibrant. She was ambitious. She was full of dreams. She was 46 years old with so much life left to live. And in one violent act, all of that was stolen. Her life mattered. Her story matters. And we honor her by believing survivors, by supporting those who need to leave, by never underestimating how dangerous it is when control slips away. If Kieran's story touched you, please leave a comment sharing what you learned. Where are you watching from? What can we do better to protect people like Kieran? We want to hear from you because these conversations matter. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. These stories need to be told. Real stories. Real lives, real lessons. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring. Kieran's memory deserves that much.